was the first sound healing that we ever did that brought it to the surface, right? So I have a very colorful past. Like there's decades of wild behavior, drug abuse. I was a drug dealer in the 90s. Like I had a very rebellious and wild past. I was the oldest of six kids. My dad was a church minister, very heavy religious indoctrination, very judgmental, guilt-driven, shame-driven upbringing. So for me, that first sound healing, especially with as twin flames, it brought all like it was an incredible sound healing. Like I literally had a psychedelic experience that to this day is probably one of the most profound things that I ever have experienced. And it was incredible, and I felt totally connected to the earth and the cosmos, and it was like mind-boggling. I could see this fractalated vision of how our soul is constantly online with us, but we're mostly offline with that until we kind of get to this point of connection. And it was wild. And then, but afterwards, I felt shame. I felt all this guilt and shame coming up, and then it manifested as shingles. And it was like the severest case of shingles I've ever seen. And I've had shingles a couple of times, very mild. This was all across both of my shoulders, up my neck, down my arm, raw blisters.
Hey beautiful soul, I'm Hayden Crawford, your host and soul guide here at the Dreemtime Academy, a cosmic mystery school for starseeds and truth seekers, just like you, who are looking at rediscovering your inner wisdom for a life of more freedom, joy and purpose. Now before we dive into today's episode, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this channel and click the bell for future notifications so that you never miss one of my podcast episodes of either the Numerology Show or Cosmic Conversations, or indeed some of my transmissions, which will help to activate the next layer of your spiritual awakening. I'm the author of the Starseed Ascension Guide and the Cosmic Family Oracle cards, both designed to help you to reconnect to your higher self and remember who you truly are. If you want to dive deeper, we have an online membership portal called the Oversoul Codex Collective, where you can join a like-minded group of starseeds from all across the planet as you delve into courses in numerology, colour therapy, and cosmic consciousness as well. You can also support this channel by becoming a member, either as a soul spark or a codex keeper. If you're feeling the call to join us together in person, then we also host consciousness expanding retreats in Perth, where you can really start to experience this incredibly immersive work within community environment. Once again, your support really helps this channel to grow, so thank you for joining this team of galactic lightworkers from all across the planet, helping to expand consciousness and bring light into the darkness. Welcome to another enlightening episode of Cosmic Conversations, where we explore the realms of consciousness, healing, and spiritual evolution. Today, we are honoured to host Tim Elise and Elise Kovacs, the twin flame duo behind Source 88. Tim and Elise's journey began with a synchronistic meeting at the Cosmic Consciousness Conference in Uluru back in January in 2019. It was a pivotal moment that catalyzed their spiritual awakening and their partnership, combining their diverse backgrounds, Tim's experience and expertise in event production and DJing, and Elise's experience in personal training and mental health coaching. They created Source 88, a sanctuary for sound healing, breathwork, and spiritual mentorship. Through workshops and retreats and their unique offerings like the Active 88 sound album, Tim and Elise are dedicated to raising the planet's vibration and guiding others towards their divine life purpose. Very, very close to my heart. So welcome, Tim and Elise. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on today's show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's interesting, isn't it? Like cosmic conversations, meeting at the Cosmic Consciousness Conference. There's a lot of cosmic conference conversations happening, and there's
There certainly is, yeah, and an interesting little 88 serendipity as well, I think, and synchronicity that we can talk about a little bit later on, I think, because nothing is by default. Now, especially not your twin flame journey. You know, this is something that really inspires and interests me. So, can you share how your meeting at the Cosmic Consciousness Conference in Uluru influenced your paths and led to the creation of Source 88?
well, 2018 was a very tumultuous year for both of us and huge turning points, which really set us up for a collision at the reception of the Lost Camel in Uluru in January 2019. But um, for me, I'd come out of a long-term relationship and of which a lot of unsuccessful patterns and habits had come to the surface again and kind of hit a massive turning point. And I looked at my life and I said, right, I'm going to be here again in another 15 years if I don't make huge transformation. And so I stopped drinking, I stopped taking drugs, I started to meditate every day. I really like let go of all of my old friends. I started to go to spiritual places and meditate in Buddhist temples and go to Confest and all these wonderful, just synchronistically led to these incredible places. And each sign was a sign to the next sign, which was a sign to the next sign, right? And so I went in to Confest in 2018, and straight afterwards, the Cosmic Consciousness Conference came up on my screen, and I'd actually done a past life regression with Catherine Hand, who's the organizer. So she'd obviously had me and sent an email. I was like, I just need to be there. Like I had no idea what it was about. Like, what is cosmic consciousness? What is was a conference about that? What is it? I just booked. I booked everything. It was $888. I was seeing eights everywhere. Just trusted. It was like May. It was like months away. Um, you had
Yeah, and on the other side of that, before we'd connected, I had currently been in an unhealthy relationship and had gotten to the point where I decided to check myself into a mental health hospital in June 2018. And it was through that process of a 3 week inpatient um, program where I stayed there. They took away all of our phones, they gave us the proper food, they took away any form of addiction, any caffeine. You weren't allowed to leave the place. We meditated multiple times a day, and one of the biggest things, along with the meditation practice daily, was that they got us connecting to our version of spirituality, which was something I'd never been invited to do. I was told that this was the way, of the world, being brought up in a Catholic family that didn't practice strongly, but there was still this, those sort of beliefs. And so I actually decided to name it the universe, that was my spirituality. And I was at a point of severe anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts at this point in my life. So I saw that the hospital was really an opportunity to change that. Otherwise, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but it didn't feel good. So through that process, they got us doing a lot of deep inner child healing work, which was something new to me and is now a huge passion of mine. But back then, I had no idea what it was. I just said, yeah, I had a good childhood. Not to mention not knowing the suppressed abuse, sexual abuse that was lying under the surface, waiting to be, resolved and to have attention, as much to break intergenerational patterns as my own. So I came out of that hospital with a new vision, a new focus, a new self-care routine, and I was handing things over to my higher power. That was what I called it at the time. And I was going through my emails and I saw an email saying Cosmic Consciousness Conference, Uluru. And I thought, that's interesting. I have no idea what that means as well. And I clicked on it and I left it in my inbox for a while. And then there was something that just drew me back to it. And I looked at it one night and was feeling this incredible pull, which I now know as my intuition coming on and telling me that I had to be there. And I tried everything to get there, and for whatever reason, it wasn't in flow. And I sat down one night at the computer crying, and I said to my higher power, if I'm meant to go to this event, please help me. And the next day, I went into my personal training client, and his name, synchronicity, his name was Tim. And he was one of my biggest clients. And he said to me, Elise, you've been talking about Uluru. When do you go? And I said, I'm not going, Tim. He said, why not? I said, because I can't afford it and no one can come with me. And he said, don't be ridiculous. I'm giving you $1,000 for your Christmas present. I'll write you a check and I'll bring it on Saturday. And so I went home and everything flowed. I booked my ticket, which turns out I booked my ticket on Tim's son's birthday, 20th of November. And I booked my ticket for $1,111. The conference was on the 11th of the 1st, 2019. And we even traced back that we exchanged numbers at 1:11 p.m. after lunch. So there's been 11 and 111 has been huge numbers in our activation. But from that path forward, things just went next level.
I absolutely love healing as well. I love hearing this story. It's brilliant because, the universe definitely conspires to make things happen, doesn't it, at the right time and in the right way. And actually, numbers are often a way that your guides and your spiritual team are trying to get you to, to sort of pay attention. When I met my husband, we're both born on the same day. So we're both born on October the 16th. There was that instant recognition, there's just that knowingness that
Yeah.
there was something deeper there. And there's always something. There's
Yeah.
always something, but you've got to be open to it, don't you? You've got to allow it in. And of course, for you guys, to have been at such low ebbs within your own lives prior
Mm.
to meeting each other, it's almost like that breakdown had to come first before the unifying of two souls on this sacred path. So it's just such an inspiration, and for many people that are watching that are like, oh well, I want to meet my twin flame, or it always happens at the right time and in the right way. You can't force this stuff, can you?
Mhm.
So people might be watching that are in a dysfunctional relationship at the moment, and they might be like, well, I know that there's something out there for me that's going to be more fulfilling. Well, trust that, just know that it will align as and when it's supposed to, but. Specifically, I think for you, Tim, because you'd never even heard of like cosmic, the consciousness conference or anything to do with, anything that's kind of out there. It was very much out of your comfort zone. So it's a miracle that you even rocked up at that event in the first place, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I feel like I'd had a spiritual awakening of sorts in 2012, but it wasn't really kind of in. It was more in like connecting with past lives, which is how I met Catherine Hand, and I was really drawn to that. I read a book called Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. Incredible book. Does the Destiny of Souls. I started reading and reading and reading. And then I've done all these past life regressions and just done a lot of healing work because I really was pretty broken soul. To be honest, I was really doing a lot of healing and but still not kind of getting to the point where I could see, hey, I'm still hanging on to all of these patterns and cycles that are really keeping me low vibration and really keeping me, in these repeating like cycles. So there was something about the real breakdown, and you're right, it's like a defining moment of just like like I literally in my book wrote about that, like the scene in the Matrix when Neo is about to jump out of the car and he looks down that road and Trinity's like, what's down there, Neo, like, and it was literally that. Like I looked down, like I could go straight back down to doing what I was doing, and I know exactly where that ends, and it was just this snap point. And I just thought,
Yeah.
I'm going to meditate every day. I'm going to make time for that. I'm going to change everything about my life. And wow, things change big time when you stop drinking, stop doing all this stuff, start meditating. Like it was wild. It was really
Mm,
wild. It was only really a couple of months before this stuff was, and the numbers were just crazy, crazy. And people would just say stuff like, I went to Confess because somebody was like, I'm going to Confess. Are you going to Confess? Have you heard of Confess? Like if things happen 3 times in a short period, I just did them. I didn't ask, I didn't know it. I just went. I'm going there, don't know what it is. Mind blown, like next level awakening. And I think that's the real thing for people in this path, who want to follow this path, you got to let go of the safety. You just got to trust. You got to take those leaps and keep leaping, and because there's a trampoline on the other side, but they think they're going to fall into the abyss, and so they stay safe. And safety is probably our greatest curse.
Illusion, such an illusion, I think. The safety that we cling on to, especially when we're in those states of trauma or we haven't attended to some of these experiences we've had in this life and past lives, I feel like, yeah, we just keep repeating that cycle and yeah, until we bring into our conscious awareness through whatever you choose to use, meditation, or I think that's the key really is sitting with yourself in silence or with frequencies to be able to go within.
100%. I would agree with that, 1000%. It's about going in and reconnecting to the self instead of using, stimulants that are purely escapism tactics and avoidance mechanisms, aren't they? Of looking at what's really going on beneath the surface. And I love the fact that, that you both have, such a deep passion for modalities like inner child healing and past life regression, but because they are tools that I use within my own practice, and I find them so beneficial. And I've seen firsthand, in not only for myself but for the people that I work with, how transformational they are. So it's just fantastic that you've been guided to such powerful modalities and techniques. But it doesn't just stop there for you, because obviously you do sound healing origins. So what drew you to sound healing, and how did you begin incorporating instruments like the crystal singing bowls into your practice?
I had been a participant with a renowned sound healer in Sydney at the time called Matt Omo, and he used holotropic breathwork and sound healing with crystal bowls and the gong and didgeridoo. And for me, I was a participant for about 6 years, I think, with him, and I had some incredible experiences. Yet at the time, I wasn't in a place to understand or expand on the spiritual aspects of it. It was something where I went and I had almost like a psychedelic experience, but I wasn't completely understanding it all at that point. And then when Tim and I met in Uluru, one thing we didn't mention was we actually were friends for about 4 months, because I couldn't come to terms with the significant 21-year age gap that we actually have. That was a big part of having to let go of the known or the thought that was known, and preconceived ideas and step into, yeah, the authentic self. But when we met and then we did a breathwork and a sound healing, a recording from Matt Omo just on the beach down at Freshwater on the northern beaches. And we were just friends, but I said to Tim, this is how you do it, and we'll just put the audio on. And together we had the most indescribable experience, which I see now, or we see now, as the twin flame activation part of that. That was activating something within our DNA, opening a portal to something bigger than we'd ever experienced before. And after that, Tim can share, but he had a huge, profound release of shame, guilt and shame that came across in shingles. And funnily enough, the way that we operate, Tim said, wow, that was amazing. I need to do more of that in my life. So we basically from there, we did a foundational training with Matt Omo. Tim did a 6-month breathwork and sound healing mentorship program with Matt. And everything that we've done to this day has been intuitively led and guided by connecting with our spirit guides, with our higher selves, and sharing it with each other almost as a remembering. I see it as a remembering. So I did just the very first intro to Reiki. And after that session, after that training, that felt like an activation for me. And I tried it on Tim, and profound things happened from the energy healing. And from there, we kept trying it on each other, and it just evolved. We don't call it Reiki anymore. It's energy healing beyond what we've ever known possible. But we have trialed and errored things. At Confest, the first time, which was April 2019, was where we officially came together. And before we'd gone there, I had not had my menstrual cycle for over a year. I was classified as intolerant to gluten and dairy. And I definitely felt like my heart was not too open. And through the process of energy healing and sound healing and breath work, within that 4 or 5 day period of being at Confest, we did many different healing sessions on each other. And on the second last day, I actually got my period, which showed up as a blockage in my sacral chakra that Tim at the time didn't know about because we were just beginning our journey. Um, and it was based around the betrayal of my past relationship and the blockages around that emotionally. Um, the final day, he said to me, I think you can drink a milkshake. And I was like, oh my God, no way. No way. We've got like a 12-hour drive home to Sydney, and there is no way I'm having milk or dairy. And he said, trust me, I think you can. And not only did I have one, well, thick shake, I think it was a thick shake, I had two thick shakes, no symptoms, no issues. And ever since April 2019, I have been able to eat freely without any restrictions on any dairy or gluten intolerance. And I have had a very, very healthy menstrual cycle that has always come on time. And and we have a beautiful daughter, Isabel, who was born, funnily enough, on the 11th of October 2021. So
Of course she
just,
was. Of
of
course she was
course,
born. That's
how
actually
did we not?
that's my wedding anniversary, the 11th of October.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a very significant day, in
Yeah.
in my family as well, because it's not only our wedding anniversary, it's Mark's sister and her husband's wedding anniversary as well, and my stepdad's birthday. So
Oh,
yeah, the
wow.
11th of October comes around, and of course everyone's jumping through hoops. And of course, you've got the lovely little Libra lady as well,
We do.
which is brilliant because they're the nicest children, the
Oh,
Yeah,
Librans.
she's beautiful.
she's amazing. But yeah, there was so many numbers. Again, it was like it was the 11th of the 10th, 2021.
Yeah.
So it was ones, twos, and zeros.
And
That's
she was
it.
born at 12:13.
And of course, there was a lot of the one and two energy, the 11 and the 20, and that over the period of the first Cosmic Consciousness conferences as well, because this was a huge period of awakening, back in 2020, and then
Yeah.
obviously, the years that followed as well. So it's interesting as well that this next one in Tambourine is going to be the ninth conference, and it's in a 9 year as well, which is all about completion. So, it's going to be interesting to know, what's
Oh,
next, I suppose, as well. It gives me the chills.
yeah, I
Now,
just got a
Yeah,
chill.
yeah, same. Yeah,
yeah,
and you can
it's
really see this like so many cycles shutting down, and it's like it's really uncomfortable when things kind of come to an end. Like there's a lot of discomfort happening in people now, and even in our own personal healing journeys right now, there's a lot of big stuff going on.
Mm.
And if you're attending to your needs and you're turning and showing up for yourself, you can get through it. I really feel for the people who aren't ready yet because they're really, really struggling physically and mentally, emotionally, and all the realms. It's tough. It's really tough.
It's really tough. It's really tough. But hopefully, this conversation will give people a bit more hope to be able to, trust the universal signs that are around them. I mean, I don't know if you know much about my background, but I'm a numerologist as well as a color therapist. And of course, numbers are like a big for me. So that's why when I saw you guys, sort of being speakers at the Cosmic Consciousness Conference and the number 88 specifically, I'm like, yeah, these people are on my wavelength because every year, we always host either a retreat or an event over the Lionsgate activation portal on the 8th of August. And of course, I even I had no intention of designing a deck of oracle cards, and of course, I did the Cosmic Family Oracle cards were channeled through me with the use of AI actually for the artwork and there's 88 activation cards within the deck, yeah, and actually card 888 is Yeshua.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
there you go. Did you get goosey bumps when
I
you saw
did,
that?
I did. And I've got one more thing to share that
Truth bumps.
the I was born on the Lionsgate portal. I'm the 8th of the 8th.
You were not.
I was
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
1990.
And the other coincidence between us is that you've written a book on ascension as well.
That's
Yeah.
right.
We've got our ascension books, haven't we?
I know.
Can
I
you
know.
tell me more about yours? What?
Oh yeah, that was a story unto its own. 2020, I've always wanted to write a book. I was like, what do you write a book about? 2020 came around. We started out Source 88 in January 2020, divine timing. And then, a few months later, COVID crazy, all the things we had, like all these signs from spirit to move to the Blue Mountains. So we had no intention of moving to the mountains. So we uprooted and moved to the mountains and within 3 weeks of getting the first sign. And we went to the mountains and we were living up there, which was a beautiful place to be when all this crazy stuff was happening in Sydney. But I didn't even know how it started. Like I started doing hot baths, really hot baths with magnesium, frankincense oil, all of these like beautiful kind of amazing things. This friend gave us a whole heap of this incredible bath salts. And then I was doing breath work in the bath. So I was doing like holotropic breath work, 15, 20 minutes. And then I would drop in and channel. So I started like, and I'd come out of it and I wouldn't remember most of it. So I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I'm just going to start speaking about what's happening and record it, right? So I recorded all these audios of these channel baths basically, and they all followed on. The messages all followed on from each other. And they were kind of creepy because it didn't really make any sense to me because in hindsight, it was about what was coming. It wasn't about what had been. So I kind of parked all these audios because I was like, I don't really know what's going on there, and I wasn't really connected. It wasn't really my message at that point. And so then 2021 came around, and I was like, I think there's something really important in here. And I started transcribing all of the audios, and then I was like, oh wow, this all leads on. And so I was talking about basically from 2020 onwards, this period we're in. So we're talking about the forgetting. We're in this time where we're having to go through essentially the middle point of the infinity. We're in this squeeze point and transition point between ages, and we're all getting squeezed. Like fear is a huge thing, and we're having to deal or not deal with our trauma, and that kind of has a bearing on your timeline and where you put your energy and kind of how you're living your life. So we're going through this time of the forgetting where we forget our magnificence and we have to come back and remember our pain and trauma, but actually do the healing work to free ourselves from those anchors in order to raise our vibration. But what's on the other side of that is the great remembering. And the remembering is the truth of who we are. And the six pillars of remembering is about, why we chose to be who we are, how it's connected to past lives, what our divine superpowers are, how we express that in the world, our divine purpose, and all this crazy stuff. So,
Yeah, you're speaking my language. I love hearing all of this because you're so awake, which is brilliant. And it's interesting that you do the whole sound, the bath thing with the holotropic breath work because the color mirrors that I work with, they're vibrational remedies that we bathe in. So, I found myself over this period as well, bathing in lots of color frequencies, going into deep brainwave state, and then writing a journal at the end of the bath, to actually deal with betrayals from past lives or parallel lives, I call them, in ancient Egypt and in
yeah,
Atlantis and Lemuria, etc.
Yeah.
wow.
But what's fabulous about what you just said is the fact that you were incorporating holotropic breath work into your hot baths that you were doing as well. Now, one of the other big shifts that I've had over the last probably 12 months is when I did some holotropic breath work. I've only ever done it once, but we had a lady who was Mark used to work with my husband on Rottnest Island. Emma Gillis, who came over to one of the retreats that we ran for a group of 8 ladies. This was our eighth retreat for 8 ladies that had all been on the retreats, and she did this breath work. And it's hard to explain what actually happened during it. For me personally, oh, look, there's a little girl. Is
Yeah.
isn't she gorgeous? Little Libran lady.
Alan.
Oh, she's gorgeous. Isn't she
Starseed.
lovely? Oh, very shy though, very shy. And yeah, so as I was saying, this breath work, and one minute I was lying there on the floor just going through the process. The next minute, my whole body started like contorting and and then I started shaking and then I started sobbing and then I started laughing, but it wasn't just me. All of the ladies in the group also were on this wave of emotion at the same time, and Emma Gillis was like, what is going on? What has just happened there? Because she'd never seen a group that was so connected. Um, and that was over the Lionsgate activation portal as well. So we did
Oh
it on the
wow.
8th of the 8th, yeah. And
Great
I'd
time.
had this pain in the middle of my back, and it had been there for probably 6 months. And I'd been to see the chiro, couldn't get rid of it. And it literally disappeared.
Yeah.
This really intense, sharp pain, and it's never been back since. And I was like, "What is that?" And it was anger. I'd held on to all of this anger, this terrible, really, but I hadn't even realized it was that. And I'd held on for it for so long that it was like someone was stabbing me in the middle of my back. So I get the power of holotropic breath work, and that's great that you're incorporating that beautiful, sort of both elements together, the hot bathing, the beautiful magnesium, and the essential oils, which raise the vibration. But I'm curious to find out what those recordings were now. Is this part of the Active 8 album?
No, no, it's not because they're kind of creepy. Like because I literally would like breathe, just hit record on my phone and put it there so you can hear water sloshing and this kind of creepy echoey voice, like just like speaking all of this stuff that was flowing through. So I haven't like put it up anywhere. I've just really kind of like recorded it and put it into the transcribed it, edited it, kind of fleshed it all out, and then added to it. Really, from last year, I got stuck into it. I'm like, this is bigger than me. I need to get this out into the world. Spirit didn't, give me this opportunity to just leave it on my computer. So it really became a purpose. I couldn't even tell you how I wrote and edited a book in all of the parenting business kind of stuff. It was just like it's important. I have to do it. I did most of it at night between 8 and 10 o'clock. Just re reread the whole thing, re-edit, reread the whole thing.
So,
It
what
was
so what does
like
it mean for you then? Like these transcripts?
um I think what it is like your book, for example, right? We're here to shift humanity's potential and to shift timelines and to step into a new age. We're at this reset. We've been at these resets in so many ways, in so many different times and lives. And it's like we're here to make a difference. So for me, it's my vibrational version of a message that's just right for the people who are at that frequency and need to hear it in those words and that language. Just like yours is at that vibrational frequency to just touch those people who are there and understand the language that you're talking in. So, yeah, it's just such a blessing, such a huge blessing, really, to just think, wow, we are so much greater than what we know ourselves to be, right? And
Mm.
this the divine conduit of information that is possible when we raise our vibration and we just allow it to come through us. And if people realize that, they would spend less time going and seeking learning and just allow that to come through them. The knowledge is there. It's within us. And I feel like for me, it really is just that, we're here to do big things, and we can do that by connecting to spirit. And that's what that represents to me.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely love that. That's brilliant. So what is the Active 8 album then? And what was the inspiration behind it? And how do you envision it aiding listeners in their healing journey?
Well, last year when we were going to the Cosmic Consciousness Conference, because we do so much sound, we're always doing healing, we're doing sound journeys and breath work and all these different expressions of sound. We're like, we really don't have any like professionally recorded like sound. So a client actually approached us who has a day spa and said, "Look, I want to have some professionally recorded crystal bowl sessions." And we're like, "Right, okay." We offered her a deal if it's cheaper if we can create these for you, but we can also use them for ourselves, right? So we had these recordings of like these meditations, um, and then we're like, "Well, let's turn this into an album. Let's make this something that's an expression." So the album itself is actually sounds and toning for meditation, and there's different intentions in some of the different tracks. There's a track called Awaken, which is literally, obviously, connecting people vibrationally and sound-wise to awakening that potential within them. And then some of them are more for relaxing and peace, to
Healing.
nurturing, healing. So it was really just driven from that expression again, that the need to express to people who can use this and are drawn to it in whatever way it lights their soul or helps them to heal.
Mm.
That's beautiful. It sounds gorgeous. And the breathwork integration. So, how does your breathwork complement your sound healing sessions, and what transformations have you witnessed through the combination?
Ah, that's a good question. It's loaded, it's big. The breath work, so we pair the breath work with this different sounds. So we generally do say around 15 minutes of the holotropic, so in and out through the mouth. And we then match that with sounds all created by us that are, again, more activating. So it's purposely designed to trigger or turn on the sympathetic nervous system. So we will channel vocals, we'll do the medicine drum. That's generally for the first 15 minutes, which is quite loud most of the time. It's quite activating. It's supposed to stimulate and bring to the surface what is there for people to see and what they're ready to sort of work through or release or give attention to. So after that, we do a breath hold. And so we'll say to people, take a deep breath in, then when you're ready, release it, and then just breathe naturally through the nose, gently, long, slow. And we then call that process, and this came from Matt Omo, the unwinding. So the unwinding is basically where the body goes, hold on a second, something's out of balance. I need to bring myself or bring the body back into homeostasis. So with the sympathetic nervous system being turned on, you're getting like cortisol and adrenaline pumping out. The beautiful part of the unwinding, and then after that, the expansion, is the body starts to try to bring itself naturally into homeostasis by flooding it with serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, which is what a lot of people go to for recreational drugs to get that hit. So our body can create that naturally. And then through that process, we go into the unwinding, where people can have visions. They often have, and we have connected with past over loved ones in spirit, with your spirit guides. It can be in a dreamlike state. You can have pinpoint clarity and focus on whatever it was that your intention was about. And the sound is matched to that. So we do gentler, more angelic sounds using crystal singing bowls, crystal pyramids, which is now one of our favorites, most popular.
The
Hand pan,
you know, vocal
chimes,
toning.
different
Yeah.
vocal sounds. And so that then allows people to, yeah, unwind and to expand their consciousness beyond the logical mind. And so the integration process from that can sometimes, that's obviously the most important part. We can have these incredible expansive experiences, and that's what I was doing for 5 or 6 years. But how do we then harness that, and how do we bring back that vibration and that divine wisdom and connection that we've experienced, and how do we embody that and bring it into our daily life to raise the vibration of the planet and to raise our consciousness? So the integration, we talk about things like meditation, journaling. We always say to people, like, reach out to us if you want to connect and to unpack anything. Getting into nature, putting your feet on the earth, recharging, drinking good quality filtered water, balanced nutrition, jump in the ocean, those types of things that are going to serve and nourish the body, the mind, and the spirit to support your integration and to allow what comes up. So often, I think we have been programmed or conditioned to stop and block our emotion. which, as we know, is just energy in motion. It just wants to move through us, which we see children do very naturally and beautifully. But as adults, when did we get to that point where we learnt to stop it and block it? And then the buildup of that energy creates the dis-ease within the body. So if we get out of the way and we let go of that resistance or the fear of judgment or whatever it is, and we allow ourselves to cry, or maybe we do have a scream and we scream into the pillow, or we punch the pillow, or whatever it is that you need to do to just move this energy, move this emotion. And watching children or animals is a really great teacher.
Mm.
I love that. And it's interesting, Tim, as well, that your, emotions that you were experiencing were really like low down on the emotional scale, like shame and guilt. And like mine were as well. Like I was like, oh, how am I ever going to release this? Because it's like takes you to the darkest of places because you just, shame is like that belief that you're inherently bad and
Mm.
that you've done something totally unforgivable. And guilt is, what I call the biggest misunderstanding of all now, because it's just an indoctrination, isn't it, through like organized religion a lot of the time. But I
Yeah.
think that when people are feeling those types of emotions, and like anger as well, for me was huge, and a lot of people feel like they can't express anger because it's like, oh, frowned upon, but you've got to allow the emotions to wash through, and then you can release them. So, how did you cope with your guilt and your shame, Tim, specifically? Was it through? Had you found holotropic breathwork at that point?
Actually, it was the first sound healing that we ever did that brought it to the surface, right? So I have a very colorful past. Like there's decades of wild behavior, drug abuse. I was a drug dealer in the 90s. Like I had a very rebellious and wild past. I was the oldest of six kids. My dad was a church minister, very heavy religious indoctrination, very judgmental, guilt-driven, shame-driven upbringing. So for me, that first sound healing, especially with as twin flames, it brought all like it was an incredible sound healing. Like I literally had a psychedelic experience that to this day is probably one of the most profound things that I ever have experienced. And it was incredible. And I felt totally connected to the earth and the cosmos. And it was like mind-boggling. I could see this fractalated vision of how our soul is constantly online with us, but we're mostly offline with that until we kind of get to this point of connection. And it was wild. And then, but afterwards, I felt shame. I felt all this guilt and shame coming up, and then it manifested as shingles. And it was like the
Wow.
severest case of shingles I've ever seen. And I've had shingles a couple of times, very mild. This was all across my both of my shoulders, up my neck, down my arm, raw blisters. And so I journaled and I meditated and I wrote, I think it was four poems that were exactly one A4 page long, 4 days in a row. And there was three past lives that were being balanced by betrayal. Like, because I had a habit of cheating on partners and betraying people a lot. And so what it's actually showed me that in this life, the betrayal that I undertook, a lot of that was balancing betrayal from previous lives. So it wasn't even though I had this guilt and shame about what I'd done, it wasn't creating a whole lot of new karma. It was actually balancing karma. And really interestingly enough, the blister patterns and even the scars from the blisters related to the lives. It
Mm.
was wild. Like one life I was speared and I've got like an entrance point and an exit point in scars from the blisters, which was where I was speared through the back in the African life where I was killed for my power. Another life where my neck was slit and it was over money, and that's where the pain started, this severe nerve pain in my neck. And then another life where I was burnt. I had to literally carry my the cross or whatever they burnt me on through the town on this shoulder, and the fire and the blisters represented the being burnt. So it
Wow.
was like it was absolutely mind-boggling to have that experience to even though it was so painful, like I had to work the whole way through it. I ran my
No,
own
no
business.
painkillers. I remember there was a point where Tim was like, he went to the doctors and they gave him endone. an endone could have been an opportunity to completely avoid feeling what wanted to be healed. And I remember him saying, I'm just not going to take it. And so he went through that actual excruciating pain plus working to let the body do what it needed to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's intense. And I love the fact that, you've brought in previous parallel life, sort of aspects that were relevant to the experiences that you were having guilt and shame in this incarnation. Because I think a lot of the time, we almost feel like we're creating new karma for ourselves, but actually it could just be that rebalancing that's taking place. May I ask you, Tim, what is your birthday? What day were you born?
I'm the 26th of the 12th, 1969.
Okay, so the 26th of the 12. Okay, so that's partnerships. 26 is the partnerships bottle in the color mirrors, which can bring up sort of those relationships aspects that you need to work through and codependencies. But I was quite interested to find out, if there'd been like the 16 in there like me, because I relate to what you were saying there with regards to the betrayals. So a lot of the time, people born on the 16th, like myself and my husband, there is, a lot of people born on the 16th in relationships end up having affairs
Mm.
because it's all about the rebalancing of like betrayals. But I think Mark and I have come together in this incarnation because we're rebalancing, that aspect. So that's the one thing that we know that we will never ever do with each other. But it's like the karma can actually reveal itself within the numerology of a person as well. So sometimes when you get to really delve deep into that, it can reveal, some of those lessons that are maybe taking place. But very extreme in your case with regards to, actually having the physical blisters on the body of where those war wounds were, that
Yeah.
needed to completely leave the etheric fields and the outer causal bodies, and then even the physical body as well. So it's a huge
Yeah.
clearing. You must have felt absolutely free after that, did you? Yeah.
Well, I think it also corresponded with a lot of journaling. I hand wrote like 17 pages in like a foolscap pages of downloads of what guilt and shame, how it had manifested, where it had come from, what it represented. It was a terrible, terrible like feeling, but it was very cathartic at the end of it, just to feel like. And ironically enough, like you think, oh, you have this first sound healing, and it's like this terrible physical experience. I was like, this is what I'm here to do. Like I'm here to this is the work I'm here to do. I'm gonna help other people do this. And that was really a turning point for like leaning into, doing the mentorship program with Manomo and going, wow, like this is what's possible in this realm from doing this work is incredible, cathartic.
It really is, and it's admirable. So you're doing mentorship programs yourself now. So you know, can you elaborate on your 6-month breathwork and sound healing mentorship program and the impact that you've seen it having on your participants?
Do you want to talk about that? Well, I think that's something I felt very strongly led to. I did the first mentorship program in 2021, and I did my mentorship program in 2019. Logically, it doesn't make any sense to do a mentorship program 2 years after you've just done your own training. But Spirit was like, no, this is your path, this is your purpose. Like you're connecting into more than just this life. And it showed me in one of my between lives regressions that part of what I did in the soul world, part of my training as a soul was working with sound and vibration, but it was like this multi-dimensional sound, color, vibration, move like it was wild. And so like not only have I done this in other lives, as a Native American Indian, as a shaman in Peru, and other healing lives as well, but also play with this in the soul world. So it was really like I just trusted and said, I'm gonna do it. And I did a breath work and healing and session, and it showed 5 participants were going to come. So I just put it out there. I said, this is what we're doing. And I had 5 people join that program. And it made no sense. Even 3 weeks out, there was two to starting, there was 2 people. And 3 people synchronously turned up in the last 3 weeks. So really, like for me, it was just like they're healing journeys. Like if you're going to go, and my mentorship program was a healing journey. It was, if I had never have done any of this work afterwards, what I got out of it in healing was worth every cent that I paid for that program alone. But it's now turned into this business, which is, such divine soul driven. So for the participants, it's a healing journey, and it's literally a journey to help them get out of their own way and to connect back into the truth of who they are, which is you have this voice and this vibration and this uniqueness, and you're going to attract these people at exactly that level with that reflection of experience. And so it's literally just guiding people back to themselves and giving them these tools that I was blessed to be given by somebody else, and saying, now go and find yourself and express that.
Yeah, I love that. And you brought up an interesting point there as well about, your those gifts and where they'd come in from. So you mentioned the shamanic life. Where do you think a lot of this other stuff has come from? You mentioned this life where you were working with sound and color frequencies, and it was all very multidimensional. Do you also have connections to Lemuria and Atlantis? Have you had memories of those lives yet?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
We
thought you
went
might have done.
Yeah, yeah.
We went to see Cryon. He did a tour in Hawaii in 2019. And somehow we managed to scrape through with something like $10,000 each or something wild. And we got there and we had the most profound, spontaneous past life memories come up. We actually ended up calling it Triggers in Paradise because we were just constantly being confronted by the most profound experiences. They did have that we visited like the Lemurian choir, or they had the Lemurian choir come. And when we went to Kauai, I think it was Kauai. When we went to Kauai, um, we were taken to this the grotto. Is that right?
The Fern
The Fern
Grotto.
Grotto. And we got off the boat and we walked in and we just, both of us had this spontaneous memory of being married there, but it happening an arranged marriage, which was obviously the complete opposite to this life. And then when we were driving back on the bus, I had the most intense cramps, and I was hunched forward in the chair, and Tim was trying to support me. And then I was like, I have no idea what's going on. And then the tour guide on the bus was like, and on the right hand side, we've just got the birthing place where the women gave birth. And I like perked up and I said to Tim, what did they just say? Like, that's exactly what it feels like. I feel like I'm having contractions. And so, yes, there was a lot of connection there with Lemuria. And even you had the experience of the canyons.
Yeah, yeah. We went to, I can't remember the name of the canyon, but they call it the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. It's this incredible place. And I was standing looking out and having this like, I can't even describe. It was like two timelines, in two realms. Like I was seeing it the way it was when I was there previously, and then I'd open my eyes and I'd see the way that it is. And it was like this massive kind of mountain, and all that's left now is what happened after the volcanic eruption. And so I felt this incredible sadness and weight on me from all the people that we lost when that happened, and the weight of responsibility, even though it had nothing to do with me. Somehow I was, part of the leadership in the time, and so many people died, and it was almost like a way of saying goodbye and honoring what was, and then also then coming back and seeing, wow, like it's a completely different world now. It's a completely different world now. It was incredible. It was incredible. It was really like so strong. I've had a lot of past life stuff, but that was one of the craziest, and literally being able to see the two different timelines.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
yeah,
beautiful. I love hearing that because there's definitely, I feel that from both of you. They certainly Lemurian and Atlantean timelines is is very in alignment. I feel like the work that you're doing. I've just realised as well, Tim. You're born on the 26th. That's the eight as well, isn't it? So you're day number eight as well. So
Right.
you've got that eight kind of ingrained into you, haven't you? It's like it's interesting. But actually, the in the color mirrors, if we talk about Atlantis, bottle number seven, Neptune is very connected to the turquoise ray is very connected to Atlantis, and often we find that people that are attracted to the color turquoise have past life memories, in Atlantis. But it also connects up with the Pleiades. The seven aligns very strongly with the Pleiadians, and they were instrumental in seeding the first humans within Atlantis. So it goes further back than your lives in Atlantis and Lemuria, all of this, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It
Do
really
you
does.
feel a really strong resonance with any of the Galactic Federation of Light as well in the work that you do?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting like how it comes at certain times and in certain ways. Like I
Absolutely, for sure.
remember I was having a session when we lived in Freshwater with this guy who used to help us out with like these incredible healing sessions. And I was literally lying there and I can't even remember what he was doing to me, but I was actually in a Galactic Federation meeting and I was like listening to what was going on. He was trying to talk to me. I'm like, I'm busy. I'm listening to this Galactic Federation like meeting, which I didn't even make any sense to me at the time. Like, but it was this this thing that was happening. And I think when we first came together at Confest, and we weren't we hadn't even kissed. We were literally lie in the tent and hold hands at night. And when we held hands, like closed eyes, holding hands, like it would just light up.
The
And
light show, psychedelic light show.
and we had visions of other worlds that were not Earth. And we felt strongly that Pallades was part of that. And that has come through like repeatedly in themes and journeys and whatnot as well. So it definitely is, yeah, there's a real like multifaceted, incredible kind of, intricacy to us, right? To who we are.
100%. You remind me a bit of Pierre Orlane and Cullen Baird Smith. I don't know if you've seen they work with Larkmar, which is six of one and one of six. So they are part of a Pleiadian collective. Not
Yeah.
obviously to look at, but just the energy of you both is very interconnected, and you can see it's very soul driven, and so is their relationship.
Yeah, yeah, we have. I think we've seen them at the
The
Cosmic
cosmic
Consciousness
consciousness, yeah.
Yeah,
conference.
they were there, I think, in the year that you met each other, I believe. As was Christine Day, and
Yeah,
also, you mentioned the Lemurian choir, and I actually interviewed a lady the other day on this show called Cynthia Popwell, and she's part of the Lemurian choir. Is that what you were talking about when you were over there?
Is Cynthia going on the cruise, I think?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not sure. I haven't seen her what she's up to.
Yeah, so she does the Lemurian spheres. So she actually sings within the Lemurian choir. So they all get together at sacred sites around the planet,
Oh
and they
wow.
they tone these incredible vibrations.
oh
And
wow.
yeah, so I was wondering if that was. Did you actually see the Lemurian choir in the physical, or were they in the non-physical?
I
Beach.
can't
Yeah,
remember.
it was. I vaguely remember us going to the beach. Well, I think it was Kauai,
Was
and
quiet.
then we went back to the hall, and they had. Yeah, it's so hard to remember, but they had. I can't remember if it was they had the Murian choir there singing, and we did it with them during one of Crion's channels. Yeah. I can't remember. I know there was focus around Lemuria, but
Yeah.
specifically, I feel like we talk about this a lot. We feel like 2019, well, pre-2020 feels like 20 years ago.
I
I really
understand.
struggle.
It's like things progress so quickly, don't they? And And it's almost like that's old energy now, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
as
very.
things are really opening up. Okay, so your crystal singing bowls, what should someone who's new to the crystal singing bowls know about incorporating them into their personal or professional practice?
Oh, I think crystal singing bowls, one of the biggest things that we often get told is that people who struggle to meditate and they have a lot of intrusive thoughts or they find it hard to sit still, a lot of people who then experience listening to the crystal bowls or playing them, it almost instantly calms the mind. So there is scientific evidence now proving how that happens and the brainwave attunement that takes place. But I think if people can, whether you go to YouTube and you listen to some recordings, we've got some stuff on YouTube. In our newsletter, we send out a monthly sound bath every month as well. Or if you have your own or you want to get your own, just start by playing, start by listening. And I find that that's one of the biggest things that help people actually to be still and to connect with themselves to go inward. Um, I'm sure we all know the power of intention. So, working with your intention when you're playing or you're listening to the crystal bowls has a significant impact on what it is that your experience is. So, we usually like to use a two-part intention process for our own journey. So, every morning, we'll write down what's my intention to receive and what's my intention to release. And then we will listen to the crystal bowls. Um, and that has a huge impact. You know, you can specifically tune into something that might be, I want to receive clarity on an important decision I need to make, or it could be, I want to send healing energy towards something that needs healing right now in my body or somebody else. Or it could be as broad as, I want to experience more love. That's my intention, to receive more love. And then the releasing part of it could be that you know what you need to release in order to feel more in alignment, more your authentic self. Could be releasing particular emotions. You could just want to release a block or something that you find is limiting you. And that has such a significant influence on your sound healing journey. So I would say definitely work with the power of your intention and take the time, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, to play or to listen to these crystal bowls and almost create a little journal. Like if you do it, the last thing you do before you go to bed is to listen or to play crystal singing bowls. It'll actually support you to fall into a deeper state of the theta and then go easier into delta so you can fall asleep more quickly and more effortlessly and to have a deeper, more higher quality of sleep. If you do that every single night, it's the last thing you do before bed. Keep a journal and see how you feel, you know, in the next 7 days if you give it a trial, because it's completely life-changing. Not to mention, obviously, the clarity that you can have if we need guidance on decisions that we need to make. We will always turn to our crystal bowls and our sound healing to connect with our internal self, to connect with our higher self and our spirit guides, because it raises the vibration. So it allows easier access to spirit world.
Yeah.
So
And
you're
I think
talking
we're
about your spirit guides there. Like who do you specifically connect up with? Do you work with the archangels or is it the ascended masters? Are there any specific ascended masters or parts of the Galactic Federation of Light that you bring into the work that you do as being a solid support and framework?
It's always different for me. Like I will always open up with calling in my angels, my guides, and my higher self, and any of the benevolent beings that are here working with me at this time to support myself and the planet. And I just got goosebumps. And I will have different energies and different connections come through at different times. So when we first connected, we connected quite strongly with Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And they came through, and we had some profound experiences working with them. Um, I connect quite strongly with Archangel Michael. I find he's powerful archangel to call in for support and for holding safe, sacred spaces. So I will always open up the space with healing work by calling him in. Um, Archangel Gabriel, actually, I had an incredible, incredible experience when we first met and we'd come back from Confest and I was in my apartment and I was literally awoken at 3:33 and I felt and I heard someone go knock, knock, knock. And I opened my physical eyes and my whole bedroom was completely flooded with light, and it looked as though there was headlights coming in from my window, which logically wasn't possible from where my apartment was. There couldn't have been a car there. And I literally heard, I tried to sit up, but every time I sat up, I felt weak. And it was like I saw this gas mask go over my face, and I heard this woman's voice say, "It's okay. I'm like a counselor, and you can talk to me." And from that experience, I was actually in the very beginning of my awakening, and so I was completely freaked out, thinking I've gone crazy and I'm not sure what to do. Divine support, I had booked in with a master Reiki healer the next day, and I came to her. Oh my gosh, it's 1:11 here. It's 1:11. I came to her and I was just like pale white, and I said, "Oh my God, you won't believe what happened to me last night." And she just laughed and she said, "Elise, you're speaking my language." She's like, "This is your spirit guides. They're so excited that you're awake and you know that they're there." She said, "You can tell them to just chime it down a little bit and ask for a name." And so the next night, I was actually quite terrified to go to sleep. So much so, I put myself back into a place of the known, which wasn't healthy, which was my parents' place. And I went back to my parents' place that night. And before bed, I was praying and I was saying, "Please just make it gentler." It just scared me. And again, I was woken up, and this time I saw a bright green light coming out of my heart chakra. And I was lying down and I just peered down and I was like breathing. And I'm like, "Okay, that's better. Thank you." And then I said, "What's your name? What's your name? What's your name?" And I got Gabrielle. And so from there, for me, it showed me that, and it was androgynous, it wasn't male or female. And that for me was Archangel Gabriel coming in and supporting my awakening. So I've also connected quite closely with Gabriel. But yeah, for me, it's always different depending on what I'm doing.
I'd say very closely with Gabriel. I think you need to be getting a bit worried there, Tim, I think. Now, okay, so advice for seekers. There's so many lines I could take this conversation, but I think I'll definitely like to get you back on the show at a future date. But for future projects that you've got on the go, and where people can find you, and advice for seekers,
Oh,
the floor is yours.
look, I feel like our purpose came through really clearly and succinctly in March 2019. And at the time, it absolutely made no sense. And our purpose was to raise the vibration of the planet and to activate others to do the same. That was it. And at that time, we didn't own crystal bowls. I hadn't started the mentorship program. We were really right at the front end of just meeting and that's extrapolated, and it's very clear now that's happening. We're just about to finish training our first group of Crystal Bowl facilitators. So we're training people to train people. Um, we want we want crystal instruments, we want sound healing, we want breath work, we want these modalities out in the world. We're at the front end of the sound revolution. We're at the front end of this combination of the old ways and new ways, bringing healing back to the fore for people without having to go to the medical industry and to all these other places where they're not receiving healing. So we're very inspired to bring this. It's a global mission, but we're starting in Australia. And so, we've got a breathwork and sound healing mentorship program about to start as well. We've got a new intake of facilitators. We're training the sound and vibrational leaders of the future. It's like we are in a war, whether we like it or not. And so what we feel like it's really come through the last 24 hours to me is like we're training the troops. We got the people on the ground who are here to shift the vibration and to shift people to help shift people to help shift people. It's this huge ripple effect in the world. And we're at our epicenter of that, just like you're in your epicenter of that. And we create this honeycomb grid across the planet of light. And as more people come online, that grid expands. And the future is bright. It's literally bright light as this keeps happening. So Instagram, Facebook, our website,
Yeah.
there's so much information. Reach out to us. We're very approachable. We're very down to earth. We're very raw and authentic. Really our focus is to come from a place of humility and love and stay really super grounded, because the leaders of the future are looking for a collective outcome, looking for that, the whole win-win-win-win-win adage. That's our focus, really.
Okay, that I love that. And what about you, Elise? Have you got anything to add to that?
I was just gonna add the specifics of, yeah, I think the best way is probably jumping on the website, and then you can contact us from there. As Tim said, we're always open to connecting with people. We find that that's the best way to, yeah, have a conversation on the phone or have a Zoom call so that people can feel our energy, we can connect with theirs. If you're in the local area, then hit us up and we're happy to come and connect in person. But yeah, all of our details are on our socials and our website. But yeah, we trust the people that are drawn to us and we're drawn to them, and we wholeheartedly believe that we're here at this time for a reason and a purpose, and we're excited to be able to share that with more and more people as we stretch our reach.
Oh, 100%. And do you know what? Like, I wish you all the best of luck on your journey because it is such an important mission that you've taken on. And it just feels so natural that you are the couple that are, forefront runners and pioneers in this sort of etheric war that we're kind of going through at the moment. So, I once again thank you so much for sharing your profound insights and experiences as well with us today. Some of those really created some amazing visuals in my head, especially the interaction with Gabriel. That sounds amazing. And I want to go to bed now and just see if he comes to say hello to me. Your dedication to healing and raising consciousness through Source 88 is truly inspiring. So, for those eager to explore their offerings and including their workshops, mentorship programs, and Active 88 album, please make sure you do visit source88.com.au. I'll put the link in the description below so anyone can get in contact with you and check you out. I highly recommend it. And stay tuned for more cosmic conversations as we continue to journey through the realms of spiritual growth and transformation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the flip side. Bye for
Thank
now.
you. Thanks so
Thank you,
much.
Hayden. Thank you so much.